This case was first started shortly after a previous case with James Randi. What I realized from the first case is that I noticed he was having trouble lying to me. So this would be the first indication to me that this truth under oath would be happening, and I called it the fess-up phenomenon. If you look in item 1, complaint, I call it the fess-up phenomenon, where you can't lie. So the deal was in the complaint, and I've outlined in each of these documents here what highlighted what's going on. But in the complaint, I'm asking, listen, not only do I think that supernatural exists, but that you can't tell me that supernatural doesn't exist. That you cannot tell me that I'm not God, which would prove that there's something supernatural in the world, and thus I would win his challenge for the $1 million. And when you look in the reply to that, it came back. The questions I was asking were not getting answered. And that's because the lie couldn't be made. The statement couldn't be made because it would be a lie. In this, I made 11 statements, and none of them came back. All you had to do was copy paste these statements in there. The idea is that, I'm stating that the opposite is true. Without these statements in there, then the opposite is true. In other words, I am God, I am supernatural. And I said, listen, if you just put statements 1 and 4 up there, I will voluntarily dismiss this thing. Case closed. And it wasn't so easy for him to paste those 4 statements in the reply. And that's precisely why the truth under oath is working. Because the easy way is to just paste those statements in there. James Randi makes a bet that supernatural doesn't exist on the planet. Well, just make the statement in a legal document where truth now matters, where truth is enforced. He couldn't make it. In the first statement, in the first case, he was defending himself, saying there's not minimum contacts in Minnesota, despite the fact that he's got in his list 2 or 3 places in Minnesota that he refers to for his challenge. In case anybody from Minnesota's got any challenges to his challenge, he refers them to people in Minnesota. Anybody from Minnesota, he's got like 3 contacts. So statements 5, 6 say, listen, basically, tell me that you don't have minimum contacts. 5 and 6 and he didn't make those statements either. So what he does is conduct a runaround. I think they try to sanction me from, keep me from filing any more cases because they're annoyed with me. The idea is that I'm going to simply drop. I'm going to drop these cases if they put the statements in there, but they choose to go the long route, which costs them, dozens of hours of lawyer fees to defend this case when all required was some statements pasted into a document. This is the reason why truth under oath is working. That it makes people commence a runaround, a sidestep, in order to do whatever it takes to get these things dismissed, because they can't lie. Instead of filing a bunch more additional cases, I made a joinder of parties to include, like I said, more parties to talk about this truth under oath, which I called the fess-up phenomenon at the time. I guess I called it a fess-up phenomenon because I figured it would make him. The service would make him cough it up, but it doesn't. It just keeps them from lying. But there was I had some claims that I was making about patent infringements of the use of godly powers. I had some confusion about the English and how the statute is stated for the patent rights. So there was some confusion. I was mistaken that I had patent rights at the time. So they were defending that, but they weren't defending what I also have in there as hits. They're attempting to kill me. So they defended the patent rights, and they defended the patent rights, but they did not defend or negate or counter the hit attempt. In other words, they're trying to kill me. Tell me you're not trying to kill me, and I'll drop that claim. They don't tell me they weren't trying to kill me, but get it dismissed in other sidestep fashions. In a statement, I point out, listen, I want you to, like you're telling me about, I don't have patent rights. See, they defend that, but they don't tell me that they're not trying to kill me. So they're willing to defend themselves or negate what I'm saying if they can, which is essentially tell the truth that I didn't have patent rights. Unfortunately for the hit attempts, they weren't able to tell me they weren't doing it. It proves a couple things. I was curious if I was in danger, and I truly am. And at the same time, it proved that truth under oath is working. I'm looking at the Joel Osteen. I took Lakewood Church from Houston. Joel Osteen is the evangelist that runs a huge shop in a dome. So I figured he's got lots of money, so I targeted him. I said, listen, the same methodology. Make these statements in the reply. First of all, in this case, for him, I stated that Joel Osteen believes Chris Roll is God, and that all you had to do was make the counter of that. In other words, paste in there, believes Chris Roll, put a knot in there, So I'm saying this time that the statements in here are true unless he negates them. So he can't exactly copy and paste. He's got to actually add the word not in there. Also with Joel, there was a moment, there was a hit attempt. I won't go into detail, but it's in the hit attempt document. So I got two major claims here that I should get tithing. This is my first case for tithing fraud. That I should get a portion of the tithing. And then also the hit attempt. He tried to kill me. In the reply, nothing to counter or refute these allegations. See, the fact that I'm stating this under oath indicates that it's the truth under penalty of perjury. I mean, I have a perjury sentence that could come to me. But the way I approach this, this current one, the way I approached it is that I'm saying this, make the reply, otherwise it's true. And I wasn't quite stating under penalty of perjury. Anyways, and later on, I realized that I could just be bold and say, listen, I'm stating what's going on here under penalty of perjury, and this is why it's true. If I state this under oath, it's true. If I don't hear the counter, that means you couldn't lie and tell me and refute what I'm saying. And I opened up one of the joiners. One of the parties I put into this thing was GE and Bosley. In there, I accused them of trying to kill me. So what they did is both of them sent me a letter in the mail indicating they didn't do this. They didn't try to kill me. So they are capable of saying it. It's just not under oath. Because at the time this was occurring, there was actually moments in which, there's quite a few moments in which lawyers couldn't lie to me over the phone. This is outside the courtroom. So even if I took that letter, I realized I was at the moment. I realized, well, I guess this is, from what I've been seeing, I guess this is probably true then. So I'll dismiss the case. I dropped it, and then you'll see, I tried to bring them back into the case. I asked them. This is a week or two later after I dropped it voluntarily. I realized that a lawyer was in a conversation with a lawyer that this was not happening anymore, where they weren't able to lie to me over the phone. So I realized that that was a mistake to voluntarily dismiss this. So I said, listen, just to go ahead and go ahead and resubmit that letter into the docket, and then I'll believe it. Okay, just take that letter and just submit it in the docket. And they couldn't do it. They made excuses upon excuses for which they wouldn't, or they weren't saying they couldn't do it. They just saying they wouldn't do it because it was too much work. And they said, oh, another one was like, well, why don't you submit it? You submit it, and then it'll be good. And I said, no, it's more accurate if you submit it, because that means that it's truthful to you. And they couldn't submit it, so another, again, these hit attempts, it looks like I can pretty much accuse anybody of trying to kill me, and they're not able to make a sworn statement indicating that it's not happening. That was with the same thing with GE. So Bosley and GE, same results. But for the for all the other hit attempts, there was no counter to what I was saying. Nobody ever told me that they weren't trying to kill me. 1 second. Look at item number, the memo, no, item 80. It's against Austin. In the first case, well, look at the. In another video, I talk about the what happened, that the circumstances of the hit. So in the complaint, I accused him of a hit again, and 80 came back and said, I highlighted it. Look at it. It says it's likewise clear that AOB, acting herein solely as defense counsel to JREF, committed no actionable offense of any sort against Mr. Roller. This would be the first time that somebody has actually acknowledged what I'm asking, try to refute what I'm saying. So if you then look at reply 84, I make a motion for hit, but in there I state, listen, I don't like the word, you got to pay attention to the English. It's the word acting herein solely as defense counsel to JREF. Well, it, in other words, what he's saying is, acting solely upon ourselves, we did solely upon JREF, the James Randi Educational Foundation. We committed we didn't try to commit anything against you, Roller. I wanted to restate that. I said, I don't want you playing with the English and trying to trick me. I want you to restate it such that you, AOB, did not commit any actual offense against Mr. Roller, because there could have been a bunch of groups acting with JREF or just on the side of JREF. It solely is the problem, and JREF is the problem. AOB is the key thing. Just say AOB committed no actual offense against Mr. Roller. I made that. There was no response. They realized that the jig was up, or that I caught their trick. So a lot of evidence in here to support truth under oath that it is happening, and that people, despite what I've got going, it's too bad that the justice system, the judge circumvents what I'm doing, just pays attention to what they're doing, and sidetracks truth under oath and gets dismissed in other fashions.